Next up, we will listen to one of our dear colleague, one of Staria's senior NetSuite Solution Consultants, Andrei Postolache, who will tell us about the newest NetSuite release and also the highlights from those features. Andrei, the stage is yours.
Morning, everyone. So, both Arti and Gacho today were talking about change, and that by far the most constant thing in this world is change. So what I would like to talk about today is how NetSuite addresses these changes from product standpoint, from product perspective. So, the only constant thing is change, right? And NetSuite does support it very well. It is managed within the new release process. So due to its architecture, to its true cloud architecture, NetSuite is able to deliver this kind of changes in a seamless way. I would like to start with reviewing together with you, refreshing for some of you, or maybe it will be some new information for others, about the new release process, what it means and how it works. And then we will have a look at just to scratch the surface on the new goodies, new stuff that NetSuite launched this year. So the new release process, a few of the most important things about it. It happens twice a year, around spring and autumn. So NetSuite is being the new features and new enhancements to those features are delivered to customers in a gradual way. NetSuite does deliver them according to a phased release process. I will explain that in a second. And customers get to know about what's coming using a new release preview account. I will also explain more details in the next slides. And of course, all this upcoming information is being backed up with all the release notes and supportive documentation. But what's most fun about it is that all customer-specific setup and information and all the integration is being carried on seamlessly. So your account-specific setup is not affected by, in a negative way, by the new release process. You just get new functionality and new enhancements into your account seamlessly. Now, a few words about the phased release process. As you can see in this diagram, all NetSuite worldwide customers are separated in a few intervals, in a few cohorts that are being delivered this upgrade gradually. This allows for a seamless experience from customer standpoint, of course, allowing for highest quality of support. A few weeks in advance, actually around 7 weeks in advance, I believe, customers are getting this kind of portlet in their dashboard, which is explaining what's coming there, that there is a new release coming up, and it contains a lot of elements in it which customers can explore, so they can familiarize themselves with a sneak peek, just a summary of what's new in the new release, and decide whether it's something of interest to them, or they would just disregard it and keep using the NetSuite the way they did yesterday. What was the most important thing about it is this new release preview account. You can request it. It will be a snapshot of your production account with all of its data, within which new functionality will already be provisioned. So you can actually test on how the new release will work out on your specific account setup, which is a big differentiator of NetSuite when it comes to upgrades. And of course, as speaking about all the supporting documentation, test plans, release preview guides, and also the upgrade phase and time will appear, I think, 3 weeks in advance. So the customers will clearly know when exactly they will receive this upgrade. Now let's see so NetSuite already had the two releases in 2022. I just scratch the surface again. There were hundreds of new enhancements and tens of new features. I will just briefly walk you through a few of those, so it will not be a too boring session. First of all, speaking about reporting, speaking about information actually, it is very important. So we are all generating a huge amount of information on a daily basis. And NetSuite, at its core, it also has a functionality called Suite Analytics, which keeps being developed quite significantly. And in this year, NetSuite has added the capability to link two data sets in one analytic workbook. Basically, we're able to analyze two sources of data, link them. Of course, they have to have something in common. Like in this case, we are linking a manufacturing data set with some kind of sales data set, right? We have in common things. We have the dates and locations, and of course the items that we have produced or sold, and that allows us to combine all of this data into interactive pivots and charts and do some kind of comparative analysis right on the fly in our live account using our transactional data up to this very moment. You can combine not only manufacturing and sales data, obviously. You can design any kind of data sets, whether it's a budget data set, you want to track, I don't know, sales versus budget or spend versus budgets. That's also a good use case of data set linking. Another cool feature, basically a Suite app, it's called an invoice presentation template. It allows in a very easy way to define how we are going to present invoices to our customers, how we want to present the data, basically group all the elements on an invoice. In terms of user interface, NetSuite also evolves on every release. And I just summarized the rule of three things that NetSuite brought into user interface. First of all is a completely redesigned Suite Answers interface. Those of you who know this feature will probably notice the difference or already have noticed it. Second, NetSuite added this kind of inline editor's sublist tooltip. Basically, we all know when you scroll down, you kind of lose that header information, and it really helps you to know on which column you're currently navigating at. And the global search, which I believe any of NetSuite customers use at the daily level or the daily basis. I do personally use it constantly. It has been enhanced by adding the menu elements. So it's not only that I'm searching within my transactions and reports, I'm also seeing how I can get to those in my specific account setup. For supply chain, NetSuite also has quite a big amount of improvements. A few of them presented today. So this kind of allocation pop-up window that allows us to visualize exactly what kind of demand orders, in this case, purchase orders have been allocated to, supply orders have been allocated to a demand order like a sales transaction. And at the same time, from a purchase order, which is a supply transaction, we can also see what kind of demand transactions this purchase order is going to be allocated to. Another big supply chain improvement is introduction of Smart Count, basically adding a seamless functionality for counting inventories, defining different patterns on how items behave from inventory count perspective, and basically automating the inventory counting process on a daily basis without disrupting the daily operations. So these processes can go in parallel with the actual operations, of course, with the supporting dashboards, providing you with all the data and the automation of count plans creations. A long-awaited feature that NetSuite has introduced this year is cash flow reporting and forecasting. So I will just log into my NetSuite account to show you a quick demo of that. It is accessible by default to financial types of roles. This feature is called Cash 360, and it gives financial people a full visibility over their cash with the projections available here. We are able to define the scheduling horizon, how we want to basically forecast our cash flow, whether we are looking into a shorter horizon or we want to look at a longer, let's say, view. We have a visibility into our both opening balance, any inflow transactions. Basically here by default you get the accounts receivable summary. As you can see, this is grouped on a weekly basis. This is all drillable information, so if I open this in a new tab, I will see the actual invoices, of course the accounts receivable, right, that have contributed to this inflow cash flow element, right? And then we have the outflow elements, which is by default, of course, our accounts payable. Again, that is drillable down to the transactional level. And on top of that, we have two more goodies. So we can add different categories. Basically, instead of looking at each specific account, I can define here in preferences different account categories. So in this case particularly, I define payroll, which is obviously my outflow category. And if I open up this account category, you can see that I can group multiple accounts from my chart of accounts in that and define how it behaves. So that's going to be my outflow account category, and that's how it will show up in my cash forecast table here. Additionally, for the values that we do not yet have posted or on the balance, we can define additional values as I have defined here, principal and interest. Let's say we have this kind of expense of 1,500. Obviously that's an expense, it's an outflow, but we can also define inflow additional values, and that's a monthly happening expense, right? A monthly occurring expense, which is scheduled to happen for the next 12 months. And that's why it will show up here in my weekly cash forecast. You can see here every fourth week or fifth week, depending on the calendar. So basically, we will have the full calculation and the closing balance done by NetSuite. And of course, again, being a summary of the transactional data, all this information is being updated on the fly. So that's the first basically cash flow forecasting functionality that NetSuite has added, and I'm really looking into seeing how this feature will be further on enhanced. Next is something called Project 360, and Project 360 is another interesting functionality because for the prospects that are in the project-based industries, many of them ask, okay, how do I see my project portfolio? Project managers want to see their project portfolio, want to see what is assigned to them, what do they have to do about the projects. Well, of course, we have these dashboards with KPIs, all of that is nice, but when it comes to projects itself, NetSuite has developed this Project 360 dashboard, which shows me as a project manager a summary of all of my projects, right? I can see them here. I can see, the different KPIs, let's say in a summary, some tasks overdue, and the profitability, a snapshot of the projects. But then I can drill through that, and I can actually open a particular project dashboard. I'll just zoom out a little bit so we will fit more data on the screen. Where we have a project overview tab that shows me the summary information with the different project-specific reminders, project key performance indicators, and some kind of primary information about the teams, and some client contact information and other attachments that are relevant for me. Then if I go into the resource planning side of things, Again, I would look at my project from delivery standpoint. I will see my Gantt chart. I will see down here, if I scroll down, now the resource allocation chart will load and show me the actual resources and their utilization for this particular project. And I can create a new resource allocation right away on the fly. So that's not just a reporting place. It is also allowing me to interact with the system, obviously. Then I will see a summary of the milestones and timesheet summary, what has been submitted so far, some graphical information about the utilization. Budget and estimation at completion. Again, now we are looking at the projects from a budgetary standpoint. We can see our work breakdown structure and estimation at completion being presented here. We can drill into the numbers, even into the graphs. So for example, looking at my labor component, I can actually look at the breakdown of those based on the work breakdown structure. So I can see all the subcategories as are defined in my account. Billing and revenue summary. Again, we are switching now into the section where we are mostly dealing with the invoicing part, the payments, management of revenue recognition, and last but not the least important is the financial overview of the project, where we can of course track the profitability, see the profitability report, and so this project 360 dashboard not only summarizes key project information in one place, it makes it also available to our fingertips to actually take control of it, do whatever corrections we need to do on the fly, and yeah, basically get things done. And before saying thank you for your time and attention, I would like to hear if there are any questions.
Got a couple of questions through the chat. First one from Teresa Tarkkanen, House Space, is asking about the cash flow 360 functionality. Can we connect automatically purchase orders forecast data part of outflow forecast data?
Not as of now, not automatically. So the bills which post to accounts payable are automatically reported as an outflow. For purchase orders, I would expect, and again with some disclaimers, but I would expect this capability to be added later. But yeah, not as of today.
We also have another follow-up question with: can we see the forecast by subsidiaries?
No, currently this is a subsidiary-specific feature, so you have to switch the subsidiary context, and then so if your user has access or your role has access to multiple subsidiaries, then you have to switch from one subsidiary to another and run your cash forecast. But that's a known limitation which will hopefully be soon addressed.
Have some live questions from the live audience. Well, we still have one question here through the chat from Pekka. He asks about Project 360. Who actually has access to project dashboard and how is that managed?
Yeah, that's a simple question. So currently at this moment in time, the project manager that is defined on the project will see that project under his or her Project 360 dashboard.
Cool. Oh, there we have a question back there with you.
Yes, hello, Jan Lehtonen from Nosto. I have a question relating API automation. I was just looking some presentation yesterday, but it was not for EMEA zone. So how to know that when those features are coming in different areas? and like, and also relating to support. So relating to NetSuite support, it's really hard to get any support if you have any error problems with the NetSuite currently. So is that planned feature, or how you describe that?
Okay, thanks for your questions. Because there are two questions, I would like to divide them into two. So the first question, is that correct to assume that you're referring to the AP automation feature that was recently presented on SuiteWorld? All right. Yeah, so I would maybe ask my NetSuite colleagues to maybe give more details on that. But as far as I know, the feature is available for USA, or let's say North America. And I have no information about when that would come into, let's say, EMEA. Nevertheless, Staria has functionality to cover the AP automation entirely. So yeah, that's all I can comment on at this point. Gotcha.
With addressing that question, so unfortunately, when you look at our SuiteWorld announcements, a lot of it is quite US driven and Northern America. We as a European team also don't like that, to be frank with you, but we will have also some European specific events you can follow, just as a FYI. When it comes down to AP automation, Andrei is right, it will be US only for now, but also the functionality that is available in it is not as advanced as some of the offers of Staria, because the US, from that perspective, is a little behind in automating that as a culture versus European markets. So even if we would release it, let's say, soon in Europe, I would still recommend to look at some of the solutions of Staria. Yes? Hope it helps.
Okay, any more live questions? Trying to update this as well, so let's see if we got some more. No? Refresh it once more, so let's see. I guess that's all then.
Nevertheless, if there will be questions, and I hope there will be later on, I'm just one click away, or reach out to any of my Starian colleagues, and we are gladly available to help. Thank you.